Доброго дня, шановні.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, dear organizers, participants of the forum. I'd like to greet on behalf of the State Credit and Finance institution of the Ministry of Trade of Ukraine. Today's event is extremely important. If we have more such events, our innovation and investment infrastructure will be looking like one keeping the pace with the time. The presentation is sometimes boring, that is why I will take only key points regarding the direction of advancement. It may be investment or innovation projects. Who can you approach if you have a startup? What support the state can provide presently? Did the state do something in this respect? Yes, we had a good news for you. And let's bear in mind that Ukraine starts from every of us. It is not in the future, it is in today. The State Innovation and Credit Institution. The State Innovation and Credit Institution is regulated by two laws of Ukraine. That is why we are not a regular state-owned enterprise. We have unique status because we are mentioned in the law of Ukraine on innovations. We based our activities on law. Presently, we are a bank of projects number one in Ukraine. These are both innovation and investment projects. Anyone may come to our website and upload the project needing funding. It can be both investment or innovation project. It automatically gets its number. It is segmented. We have database of investors. Suggest the improved project to our investors. I will provide more details now. We are a bank. We have the statutory capital, but we are not subordinated to the National Bank of Ukraine. Financial tools we provide to implement projects are as follows: consortium crediting and shares in capital. To provide an example, you submitted to the project of $100. 10% gives by the state and 90% by a strategic investor. 10% give an investor guarantee that the state also bears a risk in implementing this project. Regarding the consortium mechanism, the funds are provided from 3 to 5 years. The rate is from 2 to 8%. If you have additional questions, please approach to me. I will provide further details. Shares in the capital. What is the difference between us and consulting companies? We provide funding to investment in innovation projects. Also, we provide marketing surveys, getting intellectual property rights, and also we are the platform for interaction among civil society, executive power agencies, businesses, and the stakeholders interested in innovations and investments. It's how our portal looks like. We enter the portal, submit projects. We have project activities, innovation and investment projects can be accumulated here. Last year, the Prime Minister of Ukraine made an emphasis saying that we have the fund to support startups. One more tool to support startups is the inventors support fund. In 1 month it will be launched on the basis of the State Innovation Institution. What is this and what startups can expect from it. I would like to reiterate that we invest in the priority sectors of Ukraine as identified by the Ministry of Economic and Trade of Ukraine. It's a space, industry, infrastructure, IT and others. It's our everyday life. Experience or success stories. We have been created in 1996. We have successfully implemented projects. We invested more than $200 million. As of today, in our project banks, we have 140 projects that are being implemented on different stages now. The innovation ecosystem, what is that and what is state offering to inventors now? The state innovation ecosystem offers inventors $10,000 for one startup. These are grant money that cover 2 periods. We do not say that we are business giants, though it is us who support inventors to find the way and to make the first steps. If they only have the idea to patent it in Ukraine and to develop utility models, legal support and so on. Also, we create LLC. From 5 to 10% is given to the state investment institution, and in the state we do not abandon startups. We supervise them up to industrial production and import to abroad. All that is prescribed in our legal acts, and it is included in our powers. Our success story. Sturén of Naftogaz, it is working now, it is invested. It's aerospace industry, we invested to the investment development here also. We have Building Chleb, Motor Siege, and so on. To conclude, I would like to say that you are not alone. We have certain flaws and merits. Having projects needing funding, or maybe you need advisory services. So we are open to all of you. Please visit our website or call us by telephone, and you will be provided with high quality assistance. I hope we will have a constructive dialogue during the panel discussion, and I hope that our joint efforts will provide good results. Thank you for your attention.
Ladies and gentlemen, now we will start the energy panel. I was asked to speak English. I can do both, English, Ukrainian, but for some reason I was asked to speak English. So, let me present our panelists. With great pleasure, I would like to present Mr. Oleg Kozemko, acting CEO of CenterEnergo. Mr. Karl Sturén, the founder of well-known Chumak company, and as well as the founder of Vindkraft, alternative energy. And on the right to myself is sitting Olha Bosak. Olga is a director at the Center of Reform of Naftogaz, and she's responsible Naftogaz of Ukraine, and responsible for oil and gas reform. So we would like to have a really open conversation with questions and answer session rather than just one-way discussion. Let us start with the CenterEnergo. May I kindly ask for a slide? So as you know, CenterEnergo is one of the largest energy companies in Ukraine. It's thermal generation, but CenterEnergo counts for 15% of total installed capacity of energy generation in Ukraine. And as you know, 78% state-owned stake is for sale in the privatization process this year. Myself is Bogdan Yarmolenko. I'm a partner at EY, Ernst & Young. I'm transactions leader for Ukraine, and Ernst & Young is mandated by the state to be the advisor to the privatization process. I would like to draw your attention to this unique opportunity because it is 15% of the total installed capacity of the energy generation in the country. And as you know, Ukraine is the second largest country in Europe in terms of population. And Ukrainian economy is quite energy intensive. So being able to acquire 78% in this company, you got quite a big stake in the total energy generation of the country. I would not take a lot of your attention. Let me pass the word to Mr. Oleg Kozemko, acting CEO, and Oleg Mironovich will present you with the company opportunities, what is the company about, and why it is worth your attention. Please, Oleg Mironovich.
Вітаю.
I'd like to greet you, ladies and gentlemen, colleagues. My name is Oleg Kozemko. I'm the head of CenterEnergo company. Today, I would like to briefly present our company to you within the timeline given to me. Much can be said about my company. Our company is multifaceted. It is located in different regions of Ukraine, in industrial ones, I mean Kyiv, Kharkiv regions, Donetsk region. The installed capacity is 7,690 megawatt. It's 3 powerful power stations. In order to describe our company better, if we come back to May 16, 2017, we had only one of power stations really working. It works on G coal, and Zvilska and Tripilska stations didn't generate. The reason was as follows. We had an issue related to anthracite coal. Being aware of the situation in the country, we understood what is the situation with raw material base. In 2016, we launched the pilot project for shifting energy block in Zmiivska station 20 megawatt, and on May 30 we joined the energy system of Ukraine. In 2 weeks we will celebrate the first anniversary. The block is loaded, and Zmiivska station got the new life. We didn't stop at that point. On August 24, 2017, on the Independence Day, we enabled Block 5 in Zmiivska station, and 2 blocks are now working at that power station. The problem was in Tripilska heating station. It's unique. They have double blocks there. They have 2 boilers for one 300 megawatt turbine, and we needed to shift it to use G kind of coal. We made that in 2018, early in that year, and presently our company is working for the Ukrainian energy system using gas coal. I deem that we made good management decisions because that enabled us to work with profit in 2017, and presently we work with the revenues as well. The company has been revived. We got new 2 power stations. I call them hybrid ones because they can consume different kinds of coal that are very different among each other. G coal, gas group, and anthracite group. We succeeded in that. Presently, we are working with G coal and with A coal at the same time. In the past, we couldn't expect it is doable. Believe me, nobody would believe that it's possible to intertwine two different kinds of coal at the same power station. Though we understand that we have a new market starting from July 2019, the new rules will be introduced. The bilateral contractual market, we're not afraid because we are ready to enter that market. This year we planned and we're introducing re-equipment of one block in Tripilya station and one more energy block in Zmyivska station, number 6, to use G group coal. This way we are getting ready to enter the market. In 2019 we plan to adopt the blocks for G coal. Why we are doing that? They ask us, why did they plan to work with anthracite group? The G group is seen as the high energy coal. The answer is simple. It was a historical reason. Our energy blocks are designed in the USSR. Now we clearly understand that transferring blocks to the gas coal provides us two great advantages and prospects. So the first one is diversification of coal supplies from abroad. Now we consume coal procured in Ukraine. We take a whole coal from the state sector. The state enterprise provides 100% to our power stations. What we are lacking, we procure from other providers in Ukraine. And secondly, it was important for us to understand what are the technical and economical parameters for using G group comparing to anthracite group. We identified a lot of advantages after transferring to G group. And that is why today, using the opportunity, I would like to express my gratitude to our partners from the United States of America, technical services that assisted us to transfer the blocks. We received a lot of technical recommendations we obtained during the process. It was not an easy task to do that, to intertwine these two kinds of coal and to simultaneously use them at our blocks. The most difficult was in Tripilya station in the new block, but we are proud that nowadays the company launched the pilot project in the block number 3 in Tripilya. The projects for transferring are not that expensive. The company is on the drive, it's working now. The hard time is in the past. We are going ahead and looking into the future and thinking about the following. The coal should be provided into relevant amounts needed to generation companies in Ukraine. Our Ukrainian coal can be competitive abroad, and we can use it, and we are doing that. That is why Today I'm convinced that the company is ready to enter the new electricity market that will start in July 2019. The company has its prospects. It is going into the future. We have the schedule of investments up to 2025. We understand what and how we are doing, and we prove that the company is working with profit. Before July 1, the company will pay out dividends for 2017. It's 1.1 billion hryvnias to the budget of Ukraine, 300 million of hryvnias to minority shareholders. I think that we have a multifaceted company. It has a way for development. It has 23 energy blocks. 5 of them are gas Mazut blocks. The work now, though, is the starting point that will enable the future investor to re-equip them, to use alternative fuels, and start working with new blocks in the new market. We have sites for that. We just need investments. Re-equipment, it's a short-term investment, but a long-term investment is investing in ecological projects, modernization of turbine generators, boilers, open distribution devices and so on. That is why I'm ready to take your questions. I am ready to answer you. It's my pride to present the company that survived difficult times and now is delivering results. Thank you. Thank you, Vladimir Mironovich. I would like to point out that Oleg Mironovich had a surgery. Thank you very much for coming to us despite your health issues.
Slide. So let me summarize. Can you please turn on the next slide? So, just once again, CenterEnergo is under privatization process. The privatization timeline is on this slide. So as you may see, the auction is expected to happen in the mid of autumn, approximately October 15th. The potential bidders will be given an opportunity to have a deeper look on the company, on all the due diligence report, virtual data room, and we expect that to be open in mid-June, maybe end of, maybe beginning of July. The resolution of the Cabinet of Ministers in terms of the starting price and all the terms and conditions, we expect that to happen in the mid of July as well. So you will have all the information available. Mr. Oleg Kozemko is at your disposal to answer your questions. You will have all the information. If you are interested, you are more than welcome to take part in the privatization process. Now let me turn, we started with the conventional energy. Let me turn to the alternative energy. So, Karl, what would you say? Can you compete with CenterEnergo? Or you have some kind of compete, cooperate? What would you say?
Well, I don't think the target of renewable energy is to compete with traditional energy. I do think energy system would need both, and I think they should need to complete each other. Of course, the perfect balance would be to reach 50-50. And in some countries that's very easy. I'm Swedish myself, and we have about 50% of renewable energy, but that's all hydro, and it's all hydro energy which exists for many years. In Norway, our neighboring country, you almost have 100% of renewable energy. It's also hydro. So the question for Ukraine is which type of renewable energy could make a stable and feasible, economically and technically feasible, 50% of renewable energy in Ukraine. And I think that is the most central question. We started building renewable energy in 2011, and we were the proud founders of the first modern wind farm in CIS. Today we are generating about 73 megawatt, and we're continuing to build this year substantially. So, well, wind energy for sure could be a big part of if the case is to reach 50% renewable energy. I think wind energy would play a very important role. As we all know, the main discussion now around renewable energy is storage. And if we had an economical feasible solution for energy storage, then of course you can reach 100% of renewable energy. So right now I think that the tough question to solve is more on the storage, not on the generation. That's the main task we have at the moment.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Sorry. Thank you very much, Carl.
And that goes for all types of energy, because if you look at atomic power, I do think that atomic power will for many years play an important role in Ukraine. But the same goes for atomic power, is that we have a lot of fluctuations day and night, and to overcome the fluctuations day and night, the energy storage is technically the complicated part today, because how to build atomic power is known. How to build heating power is also very well known, right? With gas or coal or oil, it doesn't matter. Same goes for solar or wind energy or whatever. The question is that as soon as we have solved the storage part, then all the other things will be much easier. I also do think that if it comes to heating power in Ukraine, if you look at Ukraine's 35 million hectares of agricultural land, and 35 million hectares of agricultural land means a tremendous amount of biomass. And I know that today there are very few projects internationally where you have a very large scale heating plants running on biomass, but it's absolutely possible. And it's been done in a few cases, and for Ukraine it would make a lot of sense, because 90% of the straw after harvest stays in the field. And if you would collect the straw which in Ukraine stays in the field, you would easily be able to replace all kind of imported gas and traditional heating.
Okay, thank you very much. So we, just a few words from myself. We all hope that once upon a time, somewhere in the future, we will have 50% of energy attributable to renewables. But still, I think for the next 10, even 15 years, the thermal power will have their own and key role in the energy system, because first of all, due to the balancing of the system, because it's the only one which may balance the system. And being so-called old-school energy country like Ukraine, there always will be a part for the energy power, because it's to a certain extent cheaper than renewables at this stage. And let's be honest, as of today, approximately 40% of the energy generated in the country is from thermal power. In terms of capacity, is even more. But I totally agree with you that at some point of time, many countries are turning to renewables, and this is the future. And one of the points is, as long as the technology will allow how to accumulate the energy, then the renewables will of course develop more and more. Because as you know, the renewables, especially solar, generation is during the day, and consumption is more attributable to the effectively to the night, or to different periods of time. So you need to accumulate. Now let me turn to more traditional, which is oil and gas. Just to remind, this is Olha Bosak, the director of gas reform at Naftogaz of Ukraine. So please, what would you say? What is better, traditional energy or renewables, or gas?
Okay, what is better? Everything is, equally great. And I will elaborate about this today. And I hope I will answer your questions. So my talk will consist of two parts. First part will be about our internal environment, and second part about external environment. I will talk about oil and gas sector within energy industry. So what's the place of all traditional oil and gas sector? What's the future for those big giants we all know about? As a person involved in energy sector reforms, I'm very pleased to hear good feedbacks from such prominent economists as Francis Fukuyama or Anders Aslund about developments in Ukraine. In terms of reforms, Ukraine plays, just let me give like an overview, short overview of the gas sector. Because this is the sector we all know about, not here in Ukraine, but in Europe and worldwide. Ukraine plays a significant role in the European gas market. Ukraine has the largest underground gas storage in Europe. Ukraine's proven gas reserves are among 3 largest in Europe. Ukraine is number 4 in production and number 1 in gas transit. On the one hand, Ukraine has great potential to be self-sufficient in natural gas, and on the other hand, the extent to which further progress can be made towards it will be determined by different external and internal factors. I would like to highlight 3 main achievements we have reached so far, talking about gas market reforms. So 3 main highlights. First one will be gas market liberalization, second one, greater domestic gas production, and third one, gas crisis resilience. Talking about gas market development, gas market liberalization. Ukraine's wholesale gas market is already liberalized. In 2015, Naftogaz, Ukraine's largest oil and gas company, stopped importing gas from Russia, as you already all know, and started reserving reverse flows of gas from Slovakia, Poland, and Hungary. As the gas dependence on Russia was eliminated and Ukraine gas demand was met from its own resources as well as from reverse flows deliveries from the European market. Naftogaz and the rest of Ukrainian importers now have access to alternative gas resources and can choose among different dozens actually of sufficient suppliers. Such traders as NG, Trafigura, and AOT Energy, for example, big companies, entered into the Ukrainian gas market. Talking about legislation changes, both law on the gas market and law on electricity market brought Ukraine closer to compliance with EU legislation. One of main goals of new legislation is liberalization of the Ukrainian natural gas market in compliance with the Energy Community Treaty and EU Third Energy Package. Creation of liberalized gas market with competition and supply-demand balance will lead to more gas production. Another expected outcome of reforms is a freedom of consumers to choose suppliers. Now, it is important to ensure that this new, quite good legislation will work for Ukrainian businesses, or businesses working in Ukraine, as well as for Ukrainian citizens. Second achievement, domestic gas production. Ukraine's gas production has been stabilized and gas consumption has decreased dramatically. Oxford Institute for Energy Studies emphasized in one of their analyses Ukraine's gas supply from its own production, which has been around 20 billion cubic meters per year in recent years, exceeded imports for the first time in 2015. In 2017, Naftogaz subsidiary Укргазвидобування produced the company's highest volume in 24 last years. About a third of Ukraine's gas demand is still covered by imports. Changes in the regulatory framework can lead to increase in proportion of Ukraine's gas demand met from its own resources. There is one more important law that was recently signed by the President of Ukraine, law on amendments to some legislative acts of Ukraine on simplification of some aspects of oil and gas sector. Ukraine has a chance now to reach the potential level of its energy industry development. It is expected that this law will increase oil and gas production and stimulate investments in upstream sector. In turn, increases in supply and decreases in demand hopefully will result in lower natural gas prices in Ukraine. Number 3 achievement, ability to withstand gas crises. Ukraine's confidence, citizens of Ukraine now, businesses operating in Ukraine, in the gas industry ability to withstand potential crises has increased. As you probably all know, I hope you already know, after 4-year illegal dispute over gas transit between Ukrainian oil and gas company Naftogaz and Russia's Gazprom, the Stockholm Court of Arbitration ruled in favor of Ukraine, and now Russia's Gazprom has to make to Ukraine's Naftogaz a net payment of $2.5 billion, right? This major win for my country proves that Ukraine is capable of defending itself on the Russian gas front. It shows that Ukraine's gas industry plays a significant role in energy security of Ukraine and Europe. I'd like to agree with those who claim that despite Russian military intervention in Ukraine and the economic difficulties that has accompanied it, Ukrainian gas market prospects are promising indeed. If the announced reforms are implemented, the changes will have long-lasting effects on Ukraine's economy. A well-functioning gas market will have a very positive influence on broader economic development, business prospects, and well-being of citizens of Ukraine. For the time being, Ukraine is the most powerful gas transit system in Europe. Ukraine's gas market is one of the largest in Europe. Our gas storage capacity is a huge asset to monetize, and there are important issues to work on still to achieve the Ukraine's full potential I have talked about. Now, my third part, what is happening in the world? Over 80% of the world's energy needs are provided by coal, oil, and gas. That is the fact. And there is another fact. In 2017, investment in renewables capacity was roughly doubled that in fossil fuel generation. All investments in renewables totaled $241.6 billion, according to Bloomberg New Energy Finance. Talking about oil and gas prices, average oil price in 2018 is around 54. The Economist states it will be even 51 per barrel. And to compare 10 years ago, the average annual oil price for selected OPEC crude oil was 94.1 per barrel. So in comparison with the prices that were 10 years ago, oil and gas prices fell almost twice. Yes, oil and gas prices have always been an up and down proposition. The question is if the global energy market transition will allow prices to go up as high as it could go on in the past. The question is how oil and gas companies respond to new developments in the energy industry. Climate changes in technologies, changes in business model determine and will continue to determine the global energy landscape. Those global trends do and will continue to shape energy industry over the next 10 years. That's a fact. Such oil and gas giants as Statoil, E.ON, and Shell are getting ready to new realities. Statoil, very interesting. I don't know if you know, but those who follow, Statoil is a Norwegian company. Norwegian government is a majority shareholder in the company. From today, Statoil will be known as Equinor. That's a new name. Actually, just today in the morning, the company announced the implementation of the name change. Why? Because they want to support the firm's development as a broad energy business. And CEO of the company, Mr. Reinhardsen, used to say, the world is changing, and so is Statoil. The biggest transition our modern-day energy systems have ever seen is underway, and we aim to be at the forefront of this development. E.ON, E-O-N, the biggest German utility, has seen its share price fall by over 75% in 8 years. The company plans to scale up its investment in wind and solar. To secure its place in the new energy world, the company will strive for being a capable partner in management, acquisition, big data mining, and technical competences, as stated by the company. Now, Shell has also committed to invest around $1–2 billion a year in cleaner forms of energy, such as wind and solar power and electric vehicle charging, until 2020, as part of their long-term strategy for reducing carbon emissions. What do we see? I'm finishing. Last statement. The transition towards more renewable energy is a necessity. I don't know if you've heard about the new initiative Breakthrough Energy Coalition, a group that includes private investors, have set themselves the task of investing in a carbonless future. The group of investors announced that they put up to $1 billion into a fund led by Bill Gates to finance clean energy technology. To conclude, number one, companies must be able to benefit from digital innovations. Number two, companies' business structures shall have the flexibility to adapt to the changing new global environment. Number three, as renewables are gaining more and more market share, oil and gas companies shall make sure that they are in. The energy world is facing new demands. Those oil and gas companies which will manage to respond to those demands will stay on the track and will continue to define energy's industry future. Thank you.
Thank you, Olga. So, ladies and gentlemen, you heard different views, right? Traditional, conventional energy versus renewables, oil and gas. And my personal view is even traditional and renewables can cooperate jointly to the benefit of both. And it will continue through the time. I think now we have some time for your questions. So please do not be shy and ask the questions. Just please raise your hands and organizers will come to you with microphone. Yes, Steve, please.
Expert, my question for last speaker, Mrs. Olga, your point of view for alternative energy cooperate with energy sector, deal with closely with security energy, and what do you think about implementation of agreement between Ukraine and the European Union? For example, it's very interesting Article 119 of this agreement deal with reserves, oil and gas in Ukraine, and etc. Thank you.
Okay, so as I mentioned, Ukraine's government, Ukraine and state-owned enterprises companies are moving towards EU integration, and legislation and any changes we do implement in Ukraine are in compliance with energy community treaty, energy package, and other obligations we have under the EU-Ukraine Association Agreement. And talking about the gas storages, we are on the way, and we are in the process of implementation of all of our commitments. Thank you.
I think was a question from...
Hi, I had a question regarding the storage that you mentioned. Basically, how do you
So
see
can you
that?
speak more loudly, please?
Yeah, I have a question with regards to storage, how that will affect all three business models from a point of view of peak pricing and exporting into the European market. So as storage increases the capability for longer periods of time, how does that affect the pricing of the market that you want to export into Europe? So from point of view from point of view of gas, you're making gas electricity for peak demand, quick, sharp. You're making coal power, and how does that affect your pricing business model going forward?
Your prices for gas definitely will go up, but as long as gas supply will increase and gas demand decrease, gas prices will be lower. So that's the simple formula.
Yeah, but your export price for the electricity into the European market will be affected.
I mean the electricity rather than oil and gas.
Correct. Correct.
So, just for me, sorry, just to maybe just
Okay.
to reiterate the question. So,
Okay.
if we will export the electricity,
Yeah, you get a higher price because you're exporting into Europe at peak markets.
Олег Миронович, питання в тому, що якщо ми Ні, це питання до електроенергетики. Let me try to answer. So, you know, currently we have 5 gigawatts of transshipment capacity to Europe, of effectively export capacity. So we count in our modeling, in our financial models, we count that and by the way, Ukraine joined ENTSO, or is in process of joining ENTSO, and it is expected that Ukraine will be totally in line with those ENTSO requirements by 2025. So we believe that export to the Europe will increase. Thus, it will have more capacity to the internal production, because currently only two basically companies are connected to the export capacities to Europe. Of course, Ukraine is a part of the old Soviet Union United Energy System, and there is some export capacity to Russia, Moldova, and to Belarus. But effectively, we count that the export capacity will increase with joining ENTSO. It will be some additional export capacity for Khmelnytskaya nuclear plant to Europe as well. The project is underway. So it will increase the total market capacity for generation inside Ukraine. With Germany been closing their thermal plants and Germany been closing their nuclear plants, We believe Ukraine have much bigger capacity to export than we currently do. And prices normally, I think then it will be a little bit different situation. I don't, because prices is a little bit function of market. So European market and domestic market. And as you know, electricity prices inside Ukraine are still significantly lower than European prices. As far as I remember, approximately by 60-70%. So we are price comparable, so we have a competitive advantage in terms of the export. And we hope that will happen. Maybe I can ask maybe 2 questions, because we need to finish on time. No, time management is the most important in any panel.
Hello, my name is Leonid Bilozersky. The company I'm working in is called Electrocars Auto. And that's why I want to ask you, when you're thinking about the strategy of alternative energy or in general, what do you think about the development of the market of electric cars, electric vehicles here in Ukraine? Because it's currently Ukraine is in top 10 countries that have the biggest pace of development of electric vehicles market in the world. So do you count on it, or what do you think about it? This question probably is for Olga.
So if it's possible, just to say, is this question to whom? Or is it a question to anyone who may answer?
I thought that this question is to Olga.
Ah, sorry.
Okay, so what can I say? I am with you, you know. So, and I hope, we will also have this as one of our priorities, as well as on government's level. And I will keep your comment in mind. I admit personally that I haven't been thinking about this as much and as I've been thinking about the issues I went today public with. So thank you actually by your comment, and hope it will work out.
Thank you, but I think it's still a question to generation, electricity generation, because electricity cars are more like electricity related to the electricity generation. And your question, please, the last one. I apologize, but we need to be on time.
Добрий день. Мене звати Мележик Леонід.
My name is Leonid Malezhik. I'm the Director General of. The question is as follows: how can the state assist biomass producers to get investments to develop land research projects that would be nationwide in Ukraine? It requires capital investments. Whom should we approach? For the panelists, it's difficult to answer a question because we didn't represent the government. The most relevant person to answer was the first speaker, keynote speaker. It seems they are dealing with that. How can we approach the investors who give billions for biomass development?
And I completely agree with you that to get any finance for a project in biomass, you need to have a contract or supply contract for your raw material for at least 10 years. And the only one who can give you a contract for supply of biomass for 10 years is the one who owns the land. Unfortunately, in Ukraine, the people who owns the land don't operate the land. So your question is about when will Ukraine go through with a land reform and take away the moratorium on agricultural land. And that question has been on the table for the last 20 years. And I don't think that anyone is capable to answer it because the last 5 presidents of Ukraine were not able to work it out. So I don't think that we're going to have a clear answer on the land reform of Ukraine. It's on top of the agenda with IMF versus Ukraine. It's on the top of the agenda European Union in the political relation with Ukraine as well. So it's a very, very complicated question with actually not a very simple answer. But I completely understand your point that to make a very long-term investment on biomass without having this supply agreement is a very complicated task.
So thank you. Thank you, first of all, to our speakers. We highly appreciate that you are here and provided your comments, your speeches. So thank you very much on behalf of all the audience. And secondly, thank you to the audience. You were the greatest audience. You asked the questions, quite active. So thank you very much, and just applauses to our panel, if you don't mind. And applauses to our audience as well. So with this, we are closing the energy section, and the next one will be announced by organizers. So thank you very much once again, and have a good day. Bye.